We're going to talk about advanced keyframing, which not only changes the position or the rotation or the scale, but you could also play with the different timing of the keyframe. So for instance, here we have the one ball and it's positioned over here on the left. Okay. And I'm going to move it across the screen. Okay, so this is the kind of thing what we did last week. I turned on position. I also have my window workspace set to effects so that I get this extra panel so that I could see my keyframe. So here's my first position keyframe, and I'm going to move down about 5 seconds and move it over to the right. So what we saw here is that visually we see a little blue rubber band with all the keyframes in between for the in-between keyframes. And also, here are my two primary keyframes, and so if I played that now, it would move across the screen at a particular speed. Okay, it's actually rather slow here. So let's change that. Let's adjust it a little bit. Let's make that a little faster. So if I go to that keyframe, I see that that keyframe is about 4 seconds in. So that makes it a little faster there. So I could adjust both keyframes. I could grab both of them and move them around. Or I could grab one of them and move them. The little arrows next to the dot send you to the previous keyframe or the next keyframe. You could also add a keyframe in the middle by clicking the dot. Okay, so here we have this ball and it moves across the screen at a particular speed. Okay, let's see how we could adjust those speeds. So I'm going to click on my timeline and I'm going to hit my Option key to copy it up above. Okay, so let's move the ball up. So I'm going to go to this keyframe, move it up here, and I see that that value is, let's type in 480. I'm going to type in 480 on the vertical position. Okay, and now if I go to the first keyframe, I'm going to type in 480 on that position too. Okay, so there I have the two balls with the two keyframes moving across the screen. Okay, on the, let's say the top one, what I'm going to do now is I'm going to change the value of that keyframe. So you see here that it just moves across the screen at the same rate. So what we see here, as you open up the arrow, you see the velocity of the ball as it moves across the screen, and it stays the same amount, 318.8. Okay, so let's adjust that. I'm going to go to the last keyframe and I'm going to right click on it, and notice right now it's just a little diamond icon. So if I right click, I see Temporal Interpolation and Spatial Interpolation. Right now we're just going to change the time. So it's the second keyframe and we're going to ease into that keyframe. So as soon as I do that, we see a little handle and we see kind of a curve here. So what it's telling me is it's going to start fast and then it's going to go slower. So it's starting fast and then it's going to slow down. But both the keyframes happen at the same time. So we saw that because we copied and pasted. Okay, so now let's go to the first keyframe, which is still represented by the diamond, and I'm going to right click on it and I'm going to say Temporal Interpolation. I'm going to say ease out. Okay, so here's my curve and I'm going to hit a plus key to zoom into that. There's my curve. It's going to be real slow at first. It's going to speed up and slow down again. Okay, and I could actually adjust those points so I can make it, go faster near the end. So it's going to be a real slow start now. And then it's going to speed up. So this hump here represents the speed curve. Okay, so let's go the opposite way. I'm going to say, okay, we're going to go real fast at the start and then slow it down. It's real fast at the beginning and then it slows down and they end at the same place. So let's now copy this again. I'm going to say Option click and move it up again. And I'm going to say now my vertical wants to be somewhere up here at 172. So let's go to that first keyframe and type in 172. Okay, so I'm going to do something a little different here. Okay, so you see here that I have the three balls going across the screen, and the one in the middle is the one that has the ease in and the ease out. But they all end up together at the same time, finishing right there. Okay, so let's take the top one and let's add another keyframe. So if I bring it in the middle here, and if I click the middle button here, I'm adding a keyframe. Okay, so that's not doing anything now because it's the same as the bottom one. Okay, so let's go to that middle keyframe, and I'm going to right click and I'm going to say Temporal Interpolation as Bezier keyframe. Okay, that gives me these handles to work with. So for instance, if I kind of pull it out here, it's a little hard to work with, but if I pull it out here, and if I pull this one out a little bit, okay, so in fact, if I go the other, let's see, if I pull it out a little bit, what's going to happen is it's going to speed up a whole lot at the beginning here, right there, and then slow down, okay, and then speed up again.